Thank you all for tuning in. Hey, everybody out there, listen to us on the radio and online. You tuned in to The Divide with Marcus C. Williams here on WRFZ 106.3. Thank you guys for tuning in so much. If you're online, please hit the share button real quick. Share it on your page, share it on your friend's page, share it everywhere you can. And if you're on X, make sure you hit that retweet button. It don't cost you nothing. Thank you for tuning into The Divide with Marcus C. Williams. We've got a great show here for you this week. You know, we're here having the conversations in your ear that you need to hear, so be sure to share. Now, we're going to start off with some local stuff here in the city of Rochester, where I am, and then, as usual, we'll get into the national and international stuff that's going on and making the world go. So, boom. Now, here we are. It's about to be August. Going into the tail end of summer, fantastic. But that means that we're coming up on an election cycle because the elections are in November. Now, what I always encourage everybody to do is make sure that they get active in local politics because that's where they can make change. What I've seen very often and far too often, which I've been reminded of this past week, is that people are completely oblivious to everything that's going on the local level of politics. They don't know how their various offices work. They don't know who does what. They just know that they're kind of fed up or couldn't care more about the whole issue with politics in their local area. Well, let me tell you this, you guys. We're coming up on another election. Do you know all the candidates that are running in your local area this year? You know, where I am in Rochester, I'm running for Rochester City Council, shameless plug. I'd encourage you to vote for me, Marcus C. Williams, November 4th. And in early voting, anybody can vote for me, no matter what their party is. I'll be on the conservative line. And I am the conservative voice of New York State and upstate New York. But more than that, I'm somebody who cares about our community and cares about community first issues, focusing on the things that impact and affect us every single day. And we don't get that from elected officials. Let me tell you a couple of things that have happened over the last week here in Rochester. So we had an issue here in Rochester, right in my home, okay, right here, where we had a 10-year-old shot up at his house. Okay, 10-year-old got shot up in his home with his mom and his other brothers and sisters there. Is that okay? Is that something that you think is newsworthy? It made like the footnote of the news. No city council person came out and said anything. The mayor didn't do a press conference. Nothing happened. And we're not even sure if the 10-year-old was the intended target or not. And being that we have a 10-year-old being shot and we're not sure if he's the intended target or not, should be a big concern for many people. Like, how could you even consider that a 10-year-old could possibly be the target of a hit squad? That's serious, but this is what has happened because of the horrible laws here in our state, in New York State, like raise the age and bail reform, because the laws have enabled younger and younger criminals to continue to get away with all types of crime, not be punished, and even if they do get arrested, they get right out the same day. So what type of an example is that setting? And then it's encouraged older criminals to actually get out and recruit younger younger children to actually go out and do crime. Is this what we're doing now? This is exactly what's happening. So the mayor didn't do a press conference for the 10-year-old whose house is shot up. Nobody did a press conference on that. Not the mayor, not city council, not one city council member, and came out and said boo. But you know what did happen last week with city council? They had a city council meeting. You know who showed up? Nobody. Well, that's not true. Like half a city council came out. We have 9 people and only about 5 of them showed up. And we had about 10 bills that needed to be voted on unanimously to get done. And they were simple bills, right? Whatever, public works, basic bills, stuff like that. But city council is a legislative body, right? So if they're going to do this legislation and they know they're not going to be there, that means that they could have either bumped the legislation forward and done it before their absence, or they could have bumped it after and done it after. But they said, you know what? We don't even care. You don't even matter, citizens in Rochester. You don't matter to us. So we won't even show up and we won't push the thing back. We'll just let it cycle out. So now it'll be on the thing for next month, but that means that there's other work now that gets pushed back. And again, this is stuff that could have been planned for. Why do they not even care enough about us to plan for the issues that are coming up that they're getting paid to do? Now, city council is only a part-time job. They make about, I found out they make about $40,000. I didn't think it was that much, but they make about $40,000. They raised their pay. That's what happened. But this is what's going on here in Rochester. And it's not acceptable. And I'm sure wherever you are across our nation or even in other countries, you might be experiencing the same thing on your local level. Local government just doesn't seem to give a piddle paddle about us. Okay. And I got some other words, but they're not okay for radio or for the internet. Okay. I'll tell you how I really feel. I don't like the direction that our city council has been going or taking us. There are some decent people on city council, but nobody wants to upset the apple cart here in Rochester. Everybody's just kind of going along to get along, laughing in each other's faces and goo-ha and ga-ha-ha all over the place. And where does that leave our citizens? Our citizens are fed up. We've got such low turnout numbers because people don't even see that there's any likelihood that anything will ever change. That's why we've got an issue with voting now, because they vote, and then they see nothing happen and nothing change. Well, let me tell you one thing that is the biggest issue about this voting and not seeing anything change, because for 60 years, everybody's been voting Democrat. Every single city council member, every single person on school board, the mayor, all of the city court judges, all have been Democrat for 60 years. So let me tell you, my fellow friends in Rochester, Democrats especially, if you are continuously voting Democrat and Democrat run everything in our town for 60 years, then everything is because of their policy and legislation. That means the horrible schools. We got the second worst school district in the nation, but we spend the second most in the country. That's over their policies and their legislation they put in. We've got crime running rampant, property crime, violent crime. They try to say that like assaults and muggings and stuff like that aren't violent crime anymore, or armed robbery aren't violent crime. They're outside of their mind. But that's from them reclassifying. Again, this is the Democrats and their policies. They're reclassifying the crimes and trying to say that, oh, everything is absolutely fine. So, but that's not true. That's not true. I see you, Gregory. I see you made a comment. I'm going to pop you up in a second. But if you guys are watching us online, please make sure that you like, share, and subscribe, and drop a comment. I'll try to pop it up on the screen. But as we have this conversation, for 60 years in Rochester, the Democrats have controlled everything. The crime policies, the education policies, the issues with housing, all of this stems from their legislation. And let's not even talk about the lack of job and economic opportunities here in the city of Rochester. Like, we used to have Kodak and Xerox, and those kind of crumbled and fell away. But before that, we also had Heinz and French's and a number of other different large companies, Campbell Soup and stuff, that have been run out of our city because of horrible Democrat policies. Now, this is no attack on Democrats as individuals, but this is to show you very clearly, you guys, if you're a Democrat and you live here or in another blue city, everything that is hurting your community comes from Democrat policies. They're the one in office, and they need to be held accountable. It's not just about when you get ready to go out to vote. It's about when they're in office, you need to be up there holding them accountable to do what they said they're going to do what's right and just for our community, to stand up for the issues that they're supposed to be standing on. And this is something that we're not getting here in my city of Rochester, and that's why I'm running for city council. Now, again, I'll be on the ballot in November 4th, and in early voting, and you can vote for me, or you can donate to my campaign. You can donate whether you're local or not local. You don't have to be local to donate. Go to my website, Marcus4Rochester.com. That's Marcus4Rochester.com, and you can donate to my campaign, because we've got socialists on city council, and people wonder why our city is continuing to go down. We just got another extra one that won the primary. So now if they all get on there this year, we'll have 3 socialists out of 9 seats. And then we've got already another 2 that lean pretty left on there already outside of that. So where is the aid for our city coming from as far as policy goes, right? Like, I'm not talking about financial or monetary. I'm talking about actually addressing the issues that face us every day. It's not happening. and it's very sad. So hit the like button, hit the share button. I see more people watching and I see hearts on my screen. Drop a heart, drop a thumbs up, drop a comment. I'll do my best to pop you up. I'm gonna pop Greg up. Greg, it says Greg reposted the stream. Greg, thank you so much for reposting the stream. Greg, you are a hero, a man among men. Thank you so much. You guys share this, drop a comment if you say that you shared it, and I'll pop your comment up, or even drop a comment and join the conversation. All right, so let's get back into it. Then on top of that, here in Rochester, we had 2 old people stabbed up at Liberty Pole. Now, this is Liberty Pole is like, as you can hear, it has a title. Like, it's one of our city park areas. It's like a small area, but it's right downtown, right in the heart of downtown, you know, and it's right by a building that has a whole bunch of elderly, 2 floors of elderly, and then some businesses in there and some other stuff in there, as well as affluent, wealthy people live in there as well, right? Like, but clearly not in the same area with those who are retired, who are older people and on services, because you would never want them to mingle, right? But that's a separate conversation. But so these 2 old men in their 50s were stabbed up so bad that they had to come hose down the sidewalk. The fire department came down there and hosed down the sidewalk because there was so much blood. That's serious. That's absolutely insane. And this is a problem. This is a serious, serious issue. And we need to make sure that these type of issues get addressed. But they're not getting addressed. Why are they not getting addressed? Because, well, city council, they had nothing to say. They didn't come out the next day. They didn't do a press conference. They didn't say we're looking into it. They didn't say we need to figure something out about all the stuff that's going on. We've had so many shootings. Almost every single day there has been a shooting. And I'm not even talking about the 2 major shootings that we had here. I mean, I guess you wouldn't really call them major, but we had a shooting at the Amazon warehouse and we had a shooting at the Wegmans distribution center. Now, we're still out on whether they're connected or not. We're not sure, but I don't know if they are. I think somebody was just mad, and maybe the people themselves were connected, but not necessarily the companies. So, but this is something that we have ongoing. People just say, okay, well, I can do crime. We've had probably, I don't know, and I'm ballparking, right? Between the news and between the police blotters, we've probably had about 15 people stabbed that we know about in the last week. Stabbed, you know, like, this is like, can we talk about that? But no, they'll talk about firearms are the problem, guns are the problem. Nobody has a gun in the city. Nobody. Like, nobody's a registered firearms owner in the city because they've made it so cost prohibitive, time prohibitive, and they've even got a crazy, ridiculous law here that says that you can't actually have a firing range in the city. But you know that we have to go and we have to do the fire range firing drills to get our permits. So you're purposefully hobbling the people in the city, especially in the most serious neighborhoods that are heavily crime inflicted, and preventing them from being able to actually express their right to be able to bear arms. You're making it more difficult. Why is that a law in the city? When I'm on city council, I'll do something about getting that law repealed. That's ridiculous law. You know, but all of these criminals running around crazy out here with firearms, and the mayor gets on the TV and they say the crime is down, and the news put out these things and they're like, oh, well, murders are down from 24 to 16. And the 24 was the all-time high in the city. Now, I don't know how much truth there is to that or whatever the case is, but that's the all-time high. So the numbers are down from the all-time high, which we just hit since COVID. So we're down over the last couple of years, but we're up considering the history of our nation, of our country, of our city, you know? Like, can we talk about that? But no, they want to make it about firearms and everything like that. You have the right to bear arms. Let me tell you why it's important that you carry and stay strapped, okay? If you don't have your pistol permit in New York State, go get it ASAP. Work on that. Let me tell you what happened the other day. So I'm downtown. I had to call the police because they got this crazy lady outside. She's tearing up the neighborhood, trying to fight people, busting out windows, trying to steal stuff out of people's cars. She done bust an old lady upside her head that's in a wheelchair. Lady in the wheelchair get out, try to hobble after her and fight her. And then I guess the lady's friend came and hit her, hit the crazy lady too. But I had tried to call the police, try to get the police to come out. I'm on hold. I'm on hold 7-10 minutes with 911. Nobody answers. I hung up the phone. Then by the time they actually called back the police, because the police were in the area, the police had actually finally come. And that's a problem. And I wasn't the only one trying to get in contact with 911, multiple people. So when they called back on my phone, I said, I was just on hold with y'all for like 10 minutes, just ringing. And they're like, yeah, we know it's a high call volume. We got a lot of calls going on right now. Now, if you don't know, in Rochester, in the Monroe County area right now, we've got a very serious issue with the actual, emergency services number, because they don't have enough people. They don't have enough people. They don't have enough staff. That means that if you get shot, stabbed, somebody steals your stuff, somebody robs you, somebody beats you up, you hurt yourself, you fall out of a tree or whatever, and you try to call 911, you are not likely to catch nobody on the telephone. So if you're a victim of crime, you can't even make sure that you get the police out there. And then that's if they pick up the phone, right? That's if they pick up the phone. Right? Because then they pick up the phone, then they have to go through everything that happened, and then you have to wait for them to come in, for the police to come or for the ambulance to come. And the ambulance is steady talking about AMR, which is our local ambulance here. AMR cannot fulfill their contractual duties to the city because they don't got enough people, and they don't have enough ability to respond to all the calls that we have or whatever. Why isn't city council addressing this? If clearly the agency that we've contracted with in the city to do the pickups for the emergency transit is not capable of doing it, maybe we need to sub out some of that work. Maybe we need to break their contract up, because clearly they're not delivering what's been promised. Hit the like, hit the share button, and get this conversation out there, because I know everybody that's watching isn't from here, but it's similar to what's going on in your area. Lewis dropped a comment. Lewis, let's see what you got going on here. Lewis said, who do you call if 911 doesn't answer? That's the whole thing. Who do you call if 911 doesn't answer? There's nobody to call, and that's why you need to be able to carry a firearm. That's why you need to focus on getting your firearms permit. But in New York State, they make it more and more cost ineffective and less practical time-wise to be able to carry your firearm, to be able to legally register a firearm, which you shouldn't have to register a firearm anyway. That is your Second Amendment right. Okay, and they're out here like, oh, you gotta beg us for your right, which says the right shall not be infringed, right in the Constitution. But again, this is what happens in these blue areas where they're just like, oh, well, we control everything, we do what we want. And this is what we're seeing happen more and more in New York State, in the city of Rochester, and everything. The more that they control everything, the more that they start to strip away your rights. If you want to be a part of the conversation, hit the comment, hit the thumbs up, share this video out. Let me know you're listening. Just say hi. Give me a wave in the comments, or a heart, or a thumbs up. I want to see some American flags get dropped down there in the comments, and let me know you're watching. So as we continue this conversation, what's going on? Why are they making it more difficult for us to be able to protect ourselves when very clearly, if I'm on hold for 10 minutes with 911, and nobody answers, they got to call me back. And by the time they call me back, the whole thing had been like 20 minutes. You know what I'm saying? And then from that time, an officer would have had to been dispatched. Now, I've called the police before, and I've gotten a message from the police, and they're like, oh, yeah, because I call and nobody shows up. I'm going to call back. I'm going to follow up with that if the police don't show up. You know what I'm saying? So I've contacted and reached out to the police, and the police are like, yeah, man, we just don't have enough people because we're short 100 police. Why are we short 100 police in the city of Rochester? Well, they defunded the police. OK, we had Stanley Martin, Mary Lupien, and the rest of these people on city council pushed to defund the police. $5 million they took from the police to put in for a PAB board, the Police Accountability Board, which does nothing, has salaries that start off at like $100,000 a year. They're not even legal by the state constitution. That's the state judicial system's words, not mine. They are mine, but also the state judicial system. They said that they can't even do nothing because they're not even legally allowed to exist. So this is, and again, we're in a Democrat state. These are Democrat appointed, okay, judges that have said this. So it really must be something wrong if that's the case. So, but they took the $5 million and gave it to these people. Did city council take the $5 million and give it to after school programs or outreach programs for the children? Did they give it to money for the homeless or anything like that? Absolutely not. They gave it to this dysfunctional board of people that hate the police. And let me tell you, when I say that they hate the police on the PAB board, that's not me pontificating. That's not me being hyperbolic. Go look up the people who have been on the police accountability board. You see, they all have newspaper records of them being on record of hating the police. Like, so how can you actually do an adequate job when you hate the people that you're supposed to provide oversight for? Like, that just doesn't connect. That just doesn't connect. That doesn't jive. You know what I'm saying? So again, this is a city council faux pas. You know how they got in there, how it actually got created? Because people were raising a stink, and it was an election year for city council, and these people on city council were like, oh, well, let's just do something. Let's just do something to shut the people up. Even if it's not effective, or even if it doesn't really do anything, let's just do something to make the people shut up. And that's how they play with us, like we're little children. You know, they act like we're little children. We got another comment here. Let's see, who's that? Kevin? Kevin, I see you. Lewis says something else too. Lewis says all the excuses to get taxpayer dollars designated for phantom projects. Lewis, don't even get me started on that. You know that we have a number of projects in the city of Rochester that have never actually gotten off the ground. We don't know where the money's gone. Whatever happened to the photonics money? How much millions of dollars was in that for the photonics? Never materialized. Oh, I was going to bring all of these jobs. It never brought nothing. And I think they ended up with like 7 people or something like that, and only one of them was full-time, and that was a security guard. Some nonsense like that. That's not far off from being accurate, which is the crazy part. So, but this is the type of situation that we see. They allocate all these funds to projects. We never see it get to the community. The homeless problem is up sky high. We see that there are more homeless every day. We see that there are more people that are struggling and more families in need every day, but they put tens of millions of dollars to these things every single year. So the question is, where is the money? Where are these programs, and what exactly are they doing? You know, and nobody's asking this on city council, maybe because it's too much like right. But again, I'm sure that something similar to what's happening here is probably happening where you are. And you might be just about fed up with it also. That's why I tell people that we got to get involved. We have to get involved. David said something. David Lopez says, New York is going to hell, Marcus. Listen, Dave, that's why I'm fighting so hard. You know, that's why I advocate for our state. That's why I push people to understand what's going on in legislation on the state level. That's why I push people to get involved locally. And I'm working on a couple of other things. Speaking of which, you guys, please donate to the show. We're working to raise $25 to $50 an episode. If you could drop $25 or whatever you can, $10 even, you can donate on Cash App. That's $MW Real. The number 1, that's $MW Real 1 on Cash App. You can donate on Venmo or PayPal, and that's at Marcus C. Williams. So Venmo or PayPal is at Marcus C. Williams. Cash App is $MW Real, the number 1. Donate to the show because we're working on getting more airtime. Airtime isn't free, so we got to pay for it. So please drop some in the kitty so that we can get more airtime and get this message out and have the real conversations with more people. Okay, Lewis says, Lewis, what you got here? Yes, city council and the mayor supposedly are developing a civilian response staff that has not materialized. Okay, so let me clarify something on Lewis's point. Lewis, so the civilian response thing doesn't go into place until September, right around the time that it is for the election period, so that they can say, oh, look, we're doing something. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's retarded. I do not agree with it whatsoever. And people are like, oh, but Marcus, you should agree with it. No, I don't. No, I don't. I've lived in Rochester pretty much all of my life since I've been little. Okay, since I've been, what do you say, knee high to a caterpillar's toe? You know, like I've been here my whole life. What? And they're like, and you should have seen the press conference that city council did for this civilian response nonsense. So they were like, yeah, and if somebody's got an argument over a parking space, we'll send out these adult peer mediators. If you guys don't know what peer mediators are, they used to have them in schools in like elementary and middle school, and they were sometimes like the safeties and stuff like that. If you've ever seen the people with their little sash belt, orange or yellow. Anyway, so they used to be the peer mediators in school. Now they're trying to do that for adults. Adults don't want no peer mediation. Are you serious? You're going to send peer mediators for adults out to issues where people are having house parties? This is what they said. I'm not making this up. Where, yeah, if there's a house party, they shouldn't have to call the police about a noise problem. They should call these unarmed civilian response people. Are you daft? Like, are the lights not on in your head? Does that not work completely? Like, is that for real? Like, you want to send unarmed people out to a noise complaint at a party in the city of Rochester? Crazy, crazy madness. Like, that's a lawsuit waiting to happen, both by people that are in the civilian response and other people that are just residents and citizens. It's going to cost us so much money. There's going to be lawsuits all over the place. Lawsuits all over the place. It's going to be ridiculous. So no, I don't support that. I think that it's a ridiculous idea to have peer mediators for grown adults. What are they, children? And it didn't really work with children because they'd be like, oh, hug and make up, say you're sorry to the other person. Wasn't nobody never sorry? If you guys have peer mediators, you tell me about how effective you really think they were in the comments. Drop a comment if you know what I'm talking about. Okay, like it's ridiculous. Peer mediators for grown adults. Then you talk about you want to send them to parking disputes. Do you know how serious and live parking disputes get? Like almost every parking dispute that's serious enough for you to call a police officer ends up in an altercation. You're going to send some non-armed people. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And that doesn't even talk about the person in crisis team, which never seems to materialize. I've never seen them. I've never seen them. I've called the police multiple times, not the police, 911 emergency services, but I've called them multiple times for people with very clear mental problems, or maybe they're hyped up off of drugs and now in psychosis. I've never seen them. Never, ever, ever. In their inception, I've never seen it. And I've called multiple times. I've called probably at least 10, 15 times for different people in crisis. I'm using air quotes if you're listening to me on the radio, but they don't ever show up. I mean, maybe they show up somewhere. You know, but even if they did, what are they going to do? Like they're unarmed civilians. They can. Oh, well, let me write you a social referral for that. Let me talk to you nicely in your ear. Stop it. Stop playing in my face. Like this is this is an insult. Let's see. Let's get to some other comments. Let's see. Louis Aponte, I see you here. Louis says, you're wrong about AMR. Get the right information before putting out rhetoric. You have my number. Stop spilling wrong information. Okay, Louis, if you're listening, I'm not spewing wrong information. Okay? What has been happening is the continued situation in our city is they have been saying that AMR is not able to fulfill their obligations. They have called ambulances from all across the county into the city because AMR is not able to respond to all the calls. Why are they not able to respond to all the calls? I don't know. You might have a better answer to that, but I believe that it's probably staffing and the number of calls, which means that we need more people to respond to the calls, which is exactly in all that I said. I didn't say AMR is bad. I didn't say AMR is terrible. I didn't say one bad thing about AMR, but what I said was 100% factual. They're not able to respond to all of the issues. They got Victor Ambulance, Brighton Ambulance, all of these other ambulance companies out here. I've seen ambulance companies from the Southern Tier up here in Rochester operating because AMR is not able to fulfill their duties and obligations. Now, again, I know staffing is hard. You don't have to tell me. I already know staffing's hard. I'm not saying that they're a bad company, but I am saying that maybe if they're not able to fulfill all of the needs in our area, we need an additional ability to either have municipal ambulances or we need to bring in another additional ambulance company. But I don't even know that there's another ambulance company able to facilitate that as well. I know, again, staffing is hard. That's why I believe we should come up with a municipal ambulance service to augment what they're already doing. I didn't say anything that's not true or wrong or bad, Louis. Let's see. And you're welcome to comment below. And there's two different Louises commenting. It's Louis Sabo and Louis Aponte. That was Louis Aponte that was commenting on the AMR thing. He works for them. He's a pretty decent guy. We don't agree on everything, but he's all right. He's all right. Let's see. Who else has something that they want to say? Kevin says, a neighbor who hangs out with the loiterers in front of Pinnacle Apartments apparently got an extension on his eviction warrant. Typical good cause eviction nonsense. So Kevin's talking about a law that we had that passed in the city of Rochester that they tried to push off as, oh, it's going to help all of these people that are having issues with eviction and stuff like that, and it's going to stop evictions. No, it's not. That's another thing that they passed during the election cycle, not the same election cycle that they did the Police Accountability Board, but this was the last election cycle that they passed the thing talking about, oh, good cause eviction. Good cause eviction is nonsense. It's nonsense because it's been sold as a lie, right? Like they're like, oh, it's going to help all these people that are getting kicked out of their houses. No, it's not, because it doesn't do anything to really address the cost of housing, which is the big issue for most of the people that are losing their home, that are losing their places that they rent. Like, can we talk about that? You've done nothing to really make a dent in the taxes, which are crazy if somebody owns their own home. Like, can we have a conversation about that? Like, they're not being serious when it comes to this. If they wanted to do something, if they really wanted to do something to help people with the cost of housing and stuff like that, the first number one priority that they would have is figuring out how to stop all of these foreign and non-local investors from buying up all of the property in our city. That'd be the first thing. The second thing is they'd stop trying to market our city as the hottest, toughest, awesome place in the universe, which I love my city to death, you guys. I love my city. I could be anywhere else in the world, but here I am. Okay, I love my city. That's why I'm fighting hard for my city, because I believe in my city. I believe in a better future for us. I believe in a better future for our community. And I know that we can get there if we work together. And that's why I'm running for city council. November 4th, if you're in Rochester, vote for me. If you're not in Rochester, donate to my campaign. Marcus the number 4, rochester.com. Okay, you can donate and not even be local. And when you go to election, you can actually vote for me. And I'll be on the conservative line, but anybody from any party, Democrat, and Independent, Republican, anybody can vote for me without changing their party. But as we have this conversation about this so-called good cause eviction, it didn't do anything. It didn't do anything but make the life of people who are small property owners harder. And there were even exceptions for larger property owners. Like, what the heavens going on here? Like, is this serious and for real? Like, again, this is more of city council playing in people's face. They're like, oh, this is for you. This is good. This is all of this and this is all of that. And it's all lies. It's all lies and misdirection. It's all feel good stuff that's no tangibles. Like, this is the stuff that needs to be brought up. These are the people that need to be held accountable. Let's see. I think we got another comment here. Thank you, Kevin. If you guys are watching, drop a comment or drop a thumbs up. Any comment that you drop helps kick the algorithm and get it out to more people. Hit the share button, hit the thumbs up. I see more people watching than I see hearts and thumbs up. So hit that thumbs up, hit that share button. Everything helps to get the word out more. We got another comment coming in. Let's see. David says, yeah, but it seems like you're the only one trying to fix this. You're right, David. It does seem like I'm the only one trying to fix this, because not too many people out here really are and really actually give a dang. We need more people with common sense in positions that can actually fix the situation that New York is in. David, that's why I'm fighting so hard to get more people active and encourage more people to get involved, because this is very important. It's crucial that we have people that are actually practically minded to get into office, to do real tangible work, to actually put forth legislation. Let me tell you, we just had this lady, her name is Mary Lupian. Okay, she's very far left. She's a far leftist extremist. Okay, she goes more and more left every day, it seems. She's a democratic socialist. I guess that's how they address themselves. Okay, all of this nonsense. She's the one that at the City Nations, or was it? I forget what it's called, the National City Meeting, where they have all of the cities together, and JD Vance was talking, and she was screaming at JD Vance from the back. Nobody knew what she was saying. Nobody could even hear her. I was watching the thing live. I didn't know it was her till later, but couldn't even hear what she was saying. So, but it's nonsense like that, you know? And she is out in the middle of Guatemala, and she didn't come to work when they were supposed to vote on those 10 bills, because she's in Guatemala chilling. I heard it was her one of her kids' birthdays or something like that. I don't know, you know, but she was in Guatemala. That is verifiable. Okay. So what are you doing in Guatemala after you just ran for office for mayor, talking about, oh, we need to do all of these things and stuff, and you're not even doing your job that you get paid to do? And again, they could have pushed this legislation forward or they could have pushed the legislation back. So my issue with it isn't that they weren't specifically there. That is its own issue. But the real issue is that they didn't care enough to actually push it forward or push it back. That's a bad look. That's a bad look. Let's see what other comments we got here. Thank you, David. The fight continues, you know. Let's see. We got some other comments. Gladys is talking. Let's see what Gladys is saying. Gladys says some profanity. It looks like I'm not able to say. Let me see. Gladys says they are full of, I guess, poopy. We can't get a police officer or an ambulance, but they're gonna send moderators. So Gladys knows, okay? She knows that you call the ambulance, they don't show up. You call the police, they don't show up. And again, this isn't a hit on the ambulance or the police. We know you're understaffed. So we need to come up with solutions in that vein of getting more police on the streets and getting more people to work for the ambulance. That's why I'm like, we need to do a municipal ambulance company or hire part of somebody else to come offset this contract that AMR has. Like, because you're not going to tell us as citizens that if we call the ambulance and the ambulance don't show up, you're not about to sit here and tell us that the ambulance is doing their job. No. The ambulance is doing serving the ability that it has the capacity to. And clearly what we're experiencing is beyond the capacity of what they currently have. The same thing with the police. The police are doing their best to address every single call that they get in, but it's just not enough of them. It's not enough of them. But again, like Gladys says, they're full of nonsense because they want to bring out civilian peer moderators and the people in crisis and all of this nonsense. All of this nonsense. And in the meantime, they keep letting criminals out of jail here on the local level, right? City court, again, the Democrats run all the city court. And this isn't a slam on any specific judge, okay? But the judges are out here letting these criminals out, letting them go. Do you know why the judges are letting the criminals go? Because of the state laws. And what happens is people try to give you a cop out and say, oh, well, it's the judges. It's not the judges. It's the state laws. It's the state laws that are the problem, not the judges. The judges can only do up to what the law says on the paper. That's their job. If not, they'll get removed from office. So if they're letting the criminals out, you know what that means? It means that the laws say that they can let the criminals out. So we need to change those laws. The same way they changed laws to make the misdemeanors that they claim that Trump did into felonies, they need to change these laws that are like, you can't hold criminals in jail that are committing crimes. We had this guy the other day. I can't remember where it was, but the sheriff got on the TV and he was mad about it because he's like, man, we done arrested this guy like 14 times. 14 times we've arrested this guy. And this isn't just the only person that this happens to. This is the sheriff talking. This isn't the only person that this happens to. He's like, this happens over and over again. We see these continued repeat offenders and nothing's being done to them. And this costs the citizens tens of thousands of dollars for all of these repeat offenders because we keep having to expend resources and stuff to these people. It's serious. Now, real quick, I want to thank you guys for tuning in so far. We're going to keep going, but I got to say this real quick. Thank you for tuning in. This is The Divide with Marcus C. Williams on WRFZ 106.3. If you are watching, hit the share button real quick. If you're on X, hit retweet. It don't cost you nothing. Okay, share this out and let's have the important conversations together. Drop some comments. I'll pop your comment up on the screen. You can donate to the show. We're working to raise $25 to $50 an episode because airtime isn't free, you guys. So whatever you donate, we'll put back into the show. Okay, you can donate on Cash App. That's $MW Real, the number one. That's $MW Real, the digit one. Or you can donate on Cash App, on PayPal or Venmo, and that's at Marcus C. Williams. That's at Marcus C. Williams on Venmo or PayPal. Drop a couple of bucks in there, whether it's $10, $25, or even $50, whatever you can do to help us get more airtime and get this conversation out to more people. Let's get to some more conversational pieces. Let's see. Gladys says, another one of their ideals that wastes our money. Yeah, you're 100% right. City council is just wasting our money left, right, and all over the place. Let's see, we got some more. Okay. Lewis says, this is called a mutual aid system at work. We don't control the EDs. Okay. So Lewis is back talking about the ambulances, right? So, and I agree. I agree. Okay. It is a mutual aid system, which is very nice that we have it. But clearly, it's insufficient for the amount of calls that we're getting in our city. It's just not practical. It's not working. The wait times for an ambulance are crazy, crazy high. I thank all of the other ambulance companies that come out and support our city, but we just don't have enough responses. And yeah, I know that some of those are like ridiculous calls, like, oh, somebody's just trying to take the ambulance to the ER to get there because they're a hypochondriac or because they need to pick up their medicine. Like ridiculous stuff. I know that for a fact. But the fact of the matter is still, when you are in an emergency and you're calling for the ambulance, it can take hours for the ambulance to come. And that is a true fact. No disrespect to anybody. That is just a reality that we are all dealing with right here in Rochester. Thank you, Lewis, for commenting. I appreciate you. There is some mosquito in this place trying to get me. I don't mess with mosquitoes at all. Let's see. Lewis says, what's Lewis saying? Lewis says there is a huge wall time holding up ambulances across the county. Get the information before leading folks down the wrong path with rhetoric. You have had every opportunity to have a conversation with me, the fire chief, even AMR, and said that wasn't an issue. The whole system is broken. Lewis, didn't I just say the whole system is broken? Is that not what I just said? Are you not listening to me? Maybe you're hearing what you want to hear because you want to be protective of AMR. Okay, like that's very clear. The whole system is broken. That's what I just said. The whole system is broken. That's why I said what I believe we need to do is institute a municipal ambulance. You know what I'm saying? We need that. And it needs to be attached to every fire unit. That's what we need to do. That's what I see as a solution. You're not giving me any solutions, Lewis. I also said that, yeah, they probably need to hire more people, but nobody really wants to do that job. I said that too, Lewis. I said that they're doing all that they can do. I said that too, Lewis. So please don't sit here and tell me and play in my face like I said anything different than I said. I stand by everything that I say. And if you guys follow me and been following me for some time, you'll even see me like my own comments because I stand on business. When I say something, I meant exactly what I said. And then you're not going to get me to back down from it. Thank you very much, Lewis. I appreciate your input. Okay. Let's see. Lewis says some other stuff and some more stuff. Lewis, what are you even talking about? I feel like you're not listening to me. He's still on apparently talking about I'm talking bad about the ambulance. I'm not. That's not what I said. Anyway, you got some more stuff. What do you say? A municipal ambulance. Okay. Here's a comment, and then we'll go on from here. Okay. This isn't a city issue. A municipal ambulance wouldn't change a thing. We have a waiting list for employees. So, Lewis, if you have a waiting list for employees, where are they? Where are all the employees? How come you guys don't have enough employees to respond to all of the calls? Can you explain that to me? Explain it to me like I'm 5. I don't get it. You got employees on a waiting list, but they can't get into the field? Why is that? How does that work? You understand what I'm saying? All that means to me is, again, like I said previously, you do not have enough employees, or maybe it's vehicles, to get to all of the calls. It is what it is. Like, I don't know why you're defending something that isn't even a argument. Like, that's crazy. So we've got a number of other things, and I do want to get into some national stuff also, but we got a number of other things that have been going on here locally in the Rochester area. This is the complete issue with when you have a one-party system. One party rules, one party decides everything, and for 60 years it's only been Democrats. But the Democrat Party will tell you, oh, it's the Republicans that are bad. Well, how about this? I'm of the mindset that all of you are bad, okay? There are some individuals that are good, but I think both parties are pretty much not the way that they need to be, and the Democrats are way worse than the Republicans. Now, somebody might be taken aback, and I say that specifically from the lens that I live in a Democrat city and I have seen the deterioration in my city. I'm not talking about the federal. I'm not talking about anything there. I live in a Democrat city in a Democrat state, okay? And for all intents and purposes, a Democrat county, okay? You know, like, are we being serious right now? So, but this is what happens. People say, oh, well, it's not the Democrats. Who is it? Who else is in office? It's only Democrats here. That's why I'm running, because we need some other voice in city council to say, no, this stuff is not right. What's going on here needs to be changed. We can't go in this direction. One party rule is failing us. And let me speak directly to my Democrat friends. Dear Democrat friends, know that in the general election, November 4th, and in early voting, you do not have to vote Democrat. You can vote for anybody on any line that you want to, in any space that you want to. You can even write in yourself if you really want to, which is what I do whenever it comes to court judges, because a lot of times I don't know who these judges are. So I'll either vote for a judge that I know, or I'll write myself in. One year I'm going to win and be a judge just because I'm going to be the only person that voted for judge that year. Anyway, but this is what happens when you have one party rule. And I'm sure depending on where you live across the country, you might have it the other way around. Maybe it's all Republicans and you're not happy about that. Or maybe it is all Republicans and you're happy about that. I can only tell you, based on my experience, from what I'm telling you, the Democrats in our city, in our area, have had one party rule, and it doesn't matter whose name is on that nameplate or who you vote for that's on the Democrat line. Every single time they go by exactly what the party wants them to do. That's it. That's what happens. And it's sad and it's tragic. Drink water, stay hydrated. It's important that we have these serious conversations. Let's see, we got one more comment. And then we're going to go on to the national level. I want to get some of that in while we got time. Okay. Can you continue to inform? Gladys says, can you continue to inform and educate us on how to become involved and a part of the change in our state laws? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, I can. Every month, almost every month, this month I'm taking a month off. I might do something in the tail end of the month, but every month I do different civics education courses, and I also do listening sessions about community issues, and I explain to people where their issues can be addressed at what level of government. Because what we see a lot is, especially locally, because it's, like I said, it's all Democrat run, is they'll say, oh, well, it's the federal government. Oh, it's orange man bad. And it's not the orange man bad. Maybe the orange man is bad. I don't know. But the fact is, it's not the orange man. It's the people on the state level passing these laws. Do you guys know that since Kathy Hochul, the governor, has been in office in New York State, the Democrats have voted twice, you guys, twice to cut Medicaid right here in New York State. Democrats, all the Democrats voted for it. You know who voted against it? Republicans. So that's quite a stark opposition of what they try to make it seem like. But see, this is why it's important. Now, Gladys, I'm working on another project to inform people more on what's going on specifically with different laws and stuff like that when it comes to the state level. But I need more funding for the project because I'm flipping the bill myself, and with all of the other outreach and different things that I do with evangelism and stuff, I'm stretched and I don't want to overextend myself. So I'm looking for options for funding for that. So if you know anybody, let me know. If you want to donate, you can always donate. Let me know, because we gotta get that information out there. And it's always very important that we understand what bills and what laws are getting passed on the state level. I'm working on putting together a whole separate show series where I go through the different bills and stuff like that, because I know how important that is. Okay. But I need more funding for it. So, and to do more actual community engagement stuff, because it's really something that's taken a lot of time out of my schedule. But it's something I'm passionate about. So I feel good doing it. And I know it's a good work for people and it helps them a lot. So Gladys, I will continue that fight and I'll keep you posted. Stay tuned on my page. Make sure that you're following. Hit me with the favorites. And I'll let you guys know. So also every now and then I'll go over different federal bills and things like that too. So if you follow me, you'll catch some of those also. Now, one thing I wanted to talk about is, did you guys see the president negotiating with, what's her name? Vandala, I don't know her name, Vandala or something. The lady that's the president of the European Union. Okay, chairperson, whatever they got over there. Her, von der Leyen, I don't know, whatever her name is. So anyway, he was over there negotiating, talking to her, and they worked out a trade negotiation on the tariffs. So now they're going to have 15% tariffs on all of the goods that come from Europe, which I don't know what goods come from Europe. Maybe some electronic components or something, but I don't see anything that I buy comes from Europe. You know what I'm saying? All of my stuff is basically sourced here or one of the America places, unless it's like tech equipment. So I don't know exactly what they're bringing into our economy to begin with. Maybe a couple of vegetables, maybe? I don't even think so. Most of our stuff comes from South America. So who knows, who cares? But what happened is now they're opening their markets for us. So it's going to be essentially free trade for us over there. And it's really going to help the car companies and the agricultural companies here in the US, especially because they've been essentially blocking the European market from us. So that's really, really awesome. The president was talking to Keir Starmer today, Keir Starmer, okay, the prime minister in England. I do not like that man at all. That's for a whole nother episode. I want to get through a couple of things, so I'm not going to really dig into him right now. But he was over there working on amending some of the agreement and adjusting some of the outline that we had with the UK. So he's doing really good on these trade policies. And over the weekend, if you haven't been paying attention, there has been military conflict in Cambodia and Thailand. Like they've been launching missiles and artillery at each other. They've been blowing each other up, like 100 people dead and some other stuff. Like it's kind of crazy over there. And you know what Trump said? Trump said, y'all better cut it out or we're not going to do no more trade negotiations with you. You know what they did? They cut it out because they announced last night, or I guess this morning, however you say it from over there, right? Because they're ahead of time for us. But they announced that they're going to have a complete truce and they're not going to fight anymore. So that's going to be a very serious thing. So that's awesome. And you know who worked that out? The chairman of the ASEAN nations. So the ASEAN nations is a trading bloc. Okay, that is a trading partner with the US. So that just shows how powerful the US trade powers actually are. So that's something that we really need to talk about. So people give Trump a hard time on these tariffs and stuff like that, but it's really working out in our favor. And if this goes the way that it's going, you know, this is going to make it really a golden age for our nation. And I know a lot of people don't want to give him any credit for anything, but this is really, really going in a positive direction, you know? But I am concerned about the direction of our country because we've got all of these anti-American Islamist people in our country, and not even like Islamists that practice Islam, like these fake Islamists are, and they're the worst. Like these leftists that are taking up so-called Islamist causes like Palestine, right? Like Palestine, like you're pro-Palestine. What even does that mean? Please be specific. And these pro-Palestine people are anti-Trump. Well, you can't be anti-Trump and pro-Palestine. Trump just over the last 2 weeks gave $60 million to the Palestinian people for aid. $60 million. European Union didn't give them any money. Nobody else gave them any money. You know who gave them money? Trump. Now, whether I agree with giving anybody money or not, y'all know me, the American money for American people. But the fact is that he did it. You know, so the same people that are so anti-Trump and so pro-Palestine are against Trump, and he's the only one that's really working on doing anything with them. So that's something that we need to be paying attention to, which works into my conversation about what's going on with these Democrats and Black Americans, right? You got all these Democrats saying, oh, well, you should hate Trump because you're Black and Trump hates Black people. Where? Show it to me on policy paper. I need the policies and the legislation that shows me that he hates Black Americans. I don't see it. And you can't point it out to me. You'll say, oh, well, it's DEI. Well, guess what? DEI was hiring 80% white women. How is that helping Black people? It wasn't helping Black people. What did DEI do for Black people? Nothing. Nothing. Gave white women and gave white men jobs. Didn't help no Black people. 4.2% of federal jobs. And on the regular level in the private sector, it's only like 3.7% or something like that. of Black Americans that got jobs in DEI sections. So who was that helping? It wasn't helping Black people. So what if he's against it? You know? So show me where exactly he is that he's so racist. I don't see it. Now, but the point is not that whether he's racist or not, that's immaterial. Here's the problem. We've got Democrats telling Black Americans that ignore everything that Trump does, don't listen to him, and hate the Republicans because they don't care about you. Okay, well, let me tell you something. I don't care whether somebody don't like me, whether somebody don't care for me. I want to know what policies they have in place and where I can take advantage of those policies, right? So what's happened is these Democrats have brainwashed, and I'm not talking about people that are registered Democrat. I'm talking about the Democrat Party as a collective whole, especially the people in power. And they've told all of these Black people that, oh, they should be mad at Trump and don't listen to anything he says. Well, our Black people should be listening to Trump and finding what he's putting in place so that we can take advantage of it. You know, and if you listen to Trump, this is the key thing about him, whether you love him or hate him, that man tells a lot of truth when it comes to what he's about to do. Okay, he tells a lot of truth. He telegraphs almost everything he can to let the American people know where they can take advantage. Right now, we got all this nuclear stuff going on, okay, with nuclear power plants and stuff like that. He told you about that before it was coming. Did you invest in nuclear stocks? Did you do anything about that? You know, he told everybody about the stock market and what was going on. He's like, yeah, man, the stock market is about to kick off high. He said that the morning before he announced trade deals with all these countries. And everybody's like, oh, he's horrible. Look at the stock market. Where did grumblings about the stock market? Stock market's way up. All them grumblings are gone. And the day that he did that, they're like, oh, Trump was trying to tell people, his people. No, he told everybody on national TV. But the Democrats convinced all of these people to sell off all their stocks and all liquidate their 401ks and all of this nonsense, which ended up hurting so many people. Again, I don't care if somebody like me or don't like me. If they are doing things and putting stuff in place that I can take advantage of, I need to know what they're doing so I can take advantage of it. So what's happening now in the Black community is our Black community largely on scale, especially in Democrat areas, is being hobbled and prevented from being able to gain from the different things that are being done by the Department of the Interior, the different things that are being done by the Department of Energy or the Department of Agriculture or the Department of, did I say the Department of Interior or the Housing and Urban Development? Okay, like all of these different things, the EPA, Zeldin. Okay, I know some people don't like Zeldin like that. Okay, but Zeldin is doing a heck of a job. Good job on you, Zeldin. I saw him about a month ago, not even a month ago, probably. I ran into him and I talked to him. I was talking to him. And he told me I need to reach out to the Department of Transportation because I'm mad about these CAFE standards, which are the reason why the cars are all screwed up and we can't have more fuel efficient cars and we can't have cars built like they used to be and stuff like that because of these ridiculous emission standards. That's a whole nother conversation for another episode. But there are benefits in this administration that the administration has been putting out there that Black Americans can take advantage of. They just did the big, beautiful bill, right? So if you guys listen to me and you know me for some time, I'm not a fan of increasing the debt ceiling at all. I'm adamantly against the debt ceiling being increased. I'm adamantly against increasing spending. Okay, and I'd vote against it every single time. I'd vote against it. I probably would have voted against the bill. Probably. There's a lot of stuff in there that is very, very good, but there's still the increase in the debt ceiling, which I'm not a fan of, and a couple of other small things in there, which I'm not a fan of. But all the things that the Democrats are saying is about the bill are lies. Like there's some actual stuff in there that you can actually jump on and say, oh, well, this is not good. But they're not doing that. They're talking about, the no tax on tips isn't like what Trump told you. What do you mean? Anybody that makes less than $150,000 a year gets no tax on tips up to, I think it was, I forget exactly what it was. I think it's like $25,000 now because they limited it. The Republicans wanted it to be $50,000 was the limit for no tax on tips, but the Democrats wanted to push it down to like 25,000 or 25,000. You know, so that's something that I find to be crazy and reprehensible. Like, are the Democrats out there saying that they're the ones who did that? That they pushed for that to go down? Like these are not real conversations that we're having. Trump increased the child tax credit deduction. He put it up like $1,500. I believe it's between, depending on what your bracket is, it's between $500 and $1,500 that the child tax credit deduction went up. What are they saying about that? Nothing. They mad at him over that. He put in place in the bill. And again, this isn't specifically Trump, right? Because that's what they try to do. They try to make you think that, oh, well, whatever is going on in Congress as a president, it's not, it's Congress. And we need to focus on that. That's a whole nother separate issue. But when they talk about it, they try to say, oh, it's Trump, right? To try to make him look bad. So, and even though he did push for the bill, but that's a separate conversation. But then in the bill, we also had what? Now they have the accounts that they're putting together. They're like baby bonds accounts. So I call them baby Roth accounts because they're like Roth IRAs, except for children until they're adults, right? They mature when I believe it's 18. It might be 25. I'd have to go back and look at what they ended on as far as the age goes. But you can just put money in there non-taxed. And it starts off with like $2,000 or is it $2,500 to start off with. It's like a Roth IRA account, the self-directional account, and you can invest in different companies and stuff like that. Could you imagine if you took that $2,500 and invested that in Bitcoin 10 years ago? Okay, how much your money would be worth? Or if you invested it in, like, let's just say a conservative investment, like Microsoft, like 10 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Not even one of these hyper accelerated growth companies that have bubbled, So these are the serious conversations that we need to have, especially when you can put more money in there non-tax. Like, are y'all tripping? Like, y'all mad? Like, I just read an article last night in our local newspaper about how that was a thing, and everybody's in there mad face, angry. They're like, oh, there's no such thing as free money, this and that and the third. Then stop giving out free money, right? These are Democrats. Stop giving out free money. Stop it. If there's no such thing as free money, stop being foolish. But because again, they see it as something that the orange man did, orange man bad, no matter how good it is that he did. I don't believe that there's a such thing as free money either. But the issue there is all of this stuff is coming out your taxes anyway. It's all coming out your taxes. So if they're going to give some money to these people to put in accounts for their babies so that the babies can have some money in the future and maybe use it to buy a home or something like that to put it back in our economy, that's good. That's good. Why shouldn't people be able to save for their children and then after 18 years or whatever, put it back into our economy? Like, you sound crazy. How could you be mad at that? How could you be mad? How could you be mad at that? Right? Like, but this shows a level of unreasonableness that continues in sentiment amongst the Democrats, and they don't want to talk about anything positive. So if you're following us right now, hit the like button, hit the share button, drop a comment, become part of the conversation. Okay. We have a whole bunch of other things that I want to get through and cover too. Okay. We have the whole situation with this ridiculous heat wave and them stopping cloud seeding in certain places across the country, which is why we're having all these crazy storms. Just leave the environment alone. Stop doing stuff. Stop it. Stop spraying stuff in the air. Stop it. Stop using radio frequencies and radar frequencies to change the way that the clouds and the atmosphere function. These are real things. Go look it up. Like this isn't even like people are like, oh, it's the chemtrails. Chemtrails are a problem. That's a separate conversation. But we know that they've got these geoengineering companies, these weather manipulation companies out there that you can invest in right now. And it's causing all types of problems. You think that all of this heat and excess energy and issues are coming out of nowhere? Bill Gates said that he's going to spray stuff into the sky and block out the clouds. They just chopped down a whole half of our Amazon rainforest. I'm being hyperbolic. It wasn't half of the Amazon rainforest, but it was a large portion of it to bury the trees in the ground, to build a road so that the rich, wealthy people that were coming down there for a climate summit could have a pathway to drive on. Make it make sense. These are the people that say that they actually care about the climate and stuff. They don't. They don't. And we need more laws. I believe Marjorie Taylor Greene just put a position for a law forward in Congress about that. If you guys want to be part of the conversation, hit like, hit share, drop a comment in the conversations, and we'll actually pop you up on the screen and we'll go through it. Now, we got a number of other things also going on as well. So not only do we have issues in the Middle East, which you guys know are very close to my heart when it impacts Christians. Israel blew up a Christian church. Nobody wants to say anything about it. They don't want to say boo. Okay. So, but it's not just a Christian church. And I'm going somewhere. Follow me with this. They've attacked many Christian settlements and many Christian places. Okay. In the Middle East, Israel has. They treat Christians very badly. Mike Huckabee went and wrote a letter talking about that they're hostile to Christians and don't want them to come into Christian groups to come into their country. Okay. So this is a very serious thing. But I bring this conversation up because over the last week or so, I've been posting on Instagram more about how it's important for Christians to focus on Christians. And I believe that we need a revival in America. We need an American revival. I very much so stand by that. I see these Muslims coming here and taking over. I don't know if you guys saw on the Beltway in New York City. I want to say it was Brooklyn. It might have been the Bronx. I think it was Brooklyn. That they had all of these really wealthy Muslims pull all of their Mercedes Benz and their G Wagons and all of these different types of very expensive cars out on the middle of the expressway to hold up traffic, talking about down with America and globalize the intifada and all of this nonsense. And these people got money. They got money. Look at the cars that they're driving. You know, they got money and they're out here chanting all this. Send them back. Send them back. And I believe we need to start stripping people of their citizenship that go out here and they behave like this. Anybody that's out here with this standing up for other countries while talking about overthrowing our government needs to get thrown out of the country. And that's a full stop. I'm going to keep going. You understand what I'm saying? Like, we're not going to do that. America needs an American revival. We need to return our nation to being a Christian nation. Okay. And that's fact. Hard stop. Everybody will say, oh, well, what about the separation of church and state? That's not a real thing. I've covered that multiple times. But because we have been a Christian nation traditionally, we have seen the favor of the Lord our Father in heaven. And he has shined upon us so brightly that we have had amazing amount of wealth, development, and safety and security in our nation and in our borders. Like, it's just amazing how blessed America has been. And that's because we are a Christian nation and we need to go back to fully being a Christian nation. Okay. And that's a fact, Jack, you know, like for real. But we need a revival in this nation of Christianity. And it needs to be the churches and Christians, because we are the church. We are the ecclesia. We are the church. We need to start standing up and pushing back against these horrible things that are going on in our country. We have all of this, what do they call it? They push this alphabetization in the schools and the education system. That doesn't belong there. If you want to be alphabetized or whatever the case is, you want to be what of that, go outside and take that outside. It doesn't belong in the schools and education system. Okay, where I live, they got that in the school system here in the RCSD. They won't tell none of the parents. Don't get me started on that. But the kids are graduating. They can't read, can't write. We got a 65% graduation rate, and we got like a almost 50% no show rate. So most of the people aren't even graduating. So out of the people that don't drop out of the school, that are graduating, most of them still can't read and can't write. And you're trying to push all of this alphabetization on them. That doesn't got no business in schools. Then they out here preach about, oh, well, let's do what we can to destroy the family. Like, don't think about marriage. Don't think about forming a family. Anybody that, if somebody wants you to be a stay-at-home mom, then you're being oppressed. Who's pushing that nonsense in our society? There's nothing more honorable than being a stay-at-home mother, being where your husband has afforded you the ability to stay home and work with the kids. Shoot, somebody said, well, what if you had a wife and she was working and you had to take care of the kids? Listen, don't sell me a dream, yo. Don't sell me a dream. That's my dream of dreams. You know what I'm saying? Stay at home, raise the kids, okay, build them up right so that they can achieve and maximize their potential. Don't sell me a dream like that, if only, you know, and then I could do what I want in my spare time, in my free time when I'm not managing the house, which managing a house is another full-time job. That's a whole separate conversation that we can't talk about, right? but they try to act like it's not an important thing because they tried to steal the femininity from females. And now that's why we got all these females out here acting like they men, trying to talk like they men, dressing like they're men, or don't even know what they are, identifying as men. Okay, that's a whole nother problem. Again, this is this demonry that's being pushed in our nation, in our society, and we need a revival in America. And it's going to come from us as individuals, us, the church, the ecclesia, the members of the church. Okay, we need to be out there standing against these things that are against Christianity, standing against these things that are against biblical and scriptural principles. But people aren't out there. They're pushing all this socialism and Marxism nonsense. And you're just going to stand idly by and let them do it? Say that the government should run everything, every aspect of your life? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's ridiculous. We already pay too much taxes. We pay more taxes than what God asked for tithes. You know what I'm saying? How's the government going to charge you more than what you're supposed to pay to the Lord? Make it make sense to me. So these are serious conversations we need to have. Hit the like button, hit the share button, get this message out to more people. Drop a comment if you want to be part of the conversation, and we're going to keep going. So, but this is why we need a revival in the United States, okay? If us as Christians don't start standing up, nobody's going to stand up for us. Look at the Muslims. Look at what the Muslims are doing in this country. They're building their own cities. They're taking their own, they're forcing the states out of their business. Are Christians forcing the states out of their business? Absolutely not. The Muslims do whatever they want. What about the Christians? We just supposed to sit idly by? Then they'll talk about Jesus like a daggone dog, and anybody can talk about Jesus like anything. But if you say something about Muhammad, oh, it's Islamophobia. It's a problem. But what about Jesus when they're out here trying to talk about our Lord and Savior, huh? When are we going to stand against that? There's this guy, his name is Sean. I always pronounce his last name wrong because it's weird spelling, but Sean Fetch or whatever, Fretch, I don't know. Sean, the musical guy, okay? He's like a Christian conservative that does music, worship music and stuff like that. He's coming to Rochester on August 8th. He'll be at Parcel 5, so please come out for that. That starts at 7 o'clock, so come out for praise and worship at Parcel 5 if you're here. But he's up in Canada right now doing a tour up in Canada. And he had booked a couple of venues and they kicked him out of his venues. They shut all the venues down, okay, in Canada, right? Like already paid, already everything. So then he went out to go to the churches to go actually do praise and worship at the churches. And the police came to the daggone church. Stop it. What are the police in Canada coming to the churches to shut down a worship service? And they're like, oh, well, it's a concert, so you don't have a permit to do that. No, it's prayer and worship, okay? Canada hates Christians, but they fine with all the Muslims doing whatever they want. And I'm sick and tired of everybody that's Christian just allowing all of this to go on and not standing up. It's time for Christians to stand up. It's time for Christians to stand up. We can't keep letting this stuff go. And everybody's like, oh, well, it's just a small situation. It's just small. It's not a small situation. Here in my city of Rochester, about 2 years ago now, they had this this conservative Christian event that was coming. It was called the Reclaim America Tour or something like that. I'm pretty sure that was the name of it. And I think Clay and Buck and what do you call them? General Flynn and a whole bunch of different pastors that I liked and stuff were going to come here, and it was going to be at the Auditorium Center. Okay. So, and they had paid for the venue. Everything was paid and stuff like that. I got my tickets and everything. I was so excited. I didn't even have to go and travel anywhere crazy because everything is so far away. So I was like, okay, I get to go here. It's right in the heart of downtown. And maybe we'll even get some other people that normally don't come to these type of events to see what we as conservatives and as Christians are all about. And maybe it'll start to change their view on some of what we believe in, stuff like that. You know what happened? City council, the assembly, the assembly and the state senators and the county ledge all linked on the venue, all linked on the armory to push the event out of there so that we couldn't have the event there. Why would they do that? That's a violation. Is that not a violation of church and state? There's no lawsuit against these people. Okay, that's clear discrimination. And they're talking about, oh well, they're full of hate and anti this and anti that. And one of the things was like they were anti-Semites or something like that. Now, I don't care how you feel about Israel or whatever the case is, because who even knows what anti-Semite means anymore? Because it's more than just the so-called people that live it over there, right? Like they try to make it like it's only so-called European Jews that are over there in the Middle East that is anti-Semitism, when really it's anybody that's in that area is considered a Semite that has the bloodline that's attached there, and the Europeans don't have that, but they're there anyway. Okay, but that's not the point. So how can it be anti-Semitic? But regardless, there were people that were very pro-Israel that were going to be there, like very pro-Israel on a level that I'm not comfortable with in some ways, that we're going to be there. So they're like, oh, they're anti-Israel. How are they anti-Israel? It's name like 3 to 4 of the different people that we're going to be speaking that are very pro-Israel. You know, how is that anti-Semitism? Oh, they're anti-alphabet. Where is it anti-alphabet that they seem that they're anti-alphabet? And then what if they are? Where are they saying something that's bad? You understand? Does the First Amendment not apply anymore? And it was let me go back to it because it's very important. It was a conservative and Christian event, not a Christian and conservative event, but a conservative and a Christian event. Either way. But the conservative part is protected under the First Amendment, and the Christian part is protected under the First Amendment, and the freedom of speech is protected under the First Amendment. So redressing your grievances with your government and having an event that's about the issues in our government is protected also by the First Amendment. So which part of that is okay for them to try to shut down? But again, like I said, they shut down conservatives, they shut down Christians, and I'm sick and tired of them shutting down Christians. I'm not going to stand for it. I'm not going to sit by idly and silent. I'm going to stand up and I'm going to speak on it every single chance that I get. Because I'm fed up. I'm sick and tired. And in order for us to restore our nation the way that we need to be, we need to return to Christianity. Okay? And we need more people to repent and say and amend for their and atone for their sins. You know, if we want to drive our country in the right direction, if we want to have this golden age which is upon us, we have to get right with the Lord, okay, our Father in heaven. We have to. We have to stand, and we have to do it now, because they're very clearly doing everything that they can to subjugate us, to silence us. And it's terrible what we just saw happen over the weekend with Sean in Canada. That's our neighbor to the north. Those are supposed to be the nice, fuzzy people with the maple leaves and the syrup, right? And hockey, right? Like they did that to him there. And like I said, they've done similar stuff here in Rochester, where I live. It's not acceptable. They need a lawsuit against them. I swear to goodness, I'm not ever going to let that go, because that was very upsetting. I'm still not okay with it, because there's a violation. But anyway, in order to drive our nation forward, people have to get involved on the local level. Because if we don't get involved on the local level, there's not going to be any national change. I understand that a lot of people right now, we've got two sides of two coins here. Right now, we've got a lot of Republicans that are like, oh, well, I don't need to get involved or do anything because, you know, Trump's in office and he's the great savior, like he's the second coming or something. He ain't saving nobody. He's doing what he can at his level in office. That's what Trump is doing. Trump is doing what he can at his level in office. But do you know where the real issue is? It's on the local level. It's on the state level. That's where we can really effectuate change. Nobody's coming to save us. The president can only do so much, and he can't do much of nothing without Congress. So we need to really actually identify that as serious issues, and we need to start getting active locally. Now, if you follow me online, if you're listening to me online, if you don't follow me online, follow me on YouTube, the Marcus C. Williams channel, okay, or follow my Facebook, Marcus C. Williams, or Marcus C. Williams for Rochester. You'll find me on Facebook. I'm on all the social media pretty much. But what I'm going to be doing is encouraging more people on the local level to get involved with school board, to get involved with city council like I've been, but I'm going to do my best to ramp up that push because now more than ever, we need more stuff done. Now, our local rep, as I talked about her a little bit earlier, Mary Lupian, okay, who just ran for mayor with her far left socialist self, had the nerve, and this is a quote, this is in the newspaper, you can go look it up. She said, well, we're a legislative body that doesn't do any legislation. Step down. Step down. If y'all not doing nothing, step down. I had to get real close to the microphone, y'all. If y'all not doing nothing, step down. Talking about you're a legislative body and y'all don't do nothing. Step down. Save us the taxpayer money. Step down because you're not doing anything to serve us as a community. And I'm sure that what we see here is happening in other cities. And I know it is for a fact because I speak to other people from across the country all the time. But it's up to us to get active. It's up to us to get active. And I'm still looking, if you live in Rochester, in the Rochester area, I'm looking for somebody to get involved with the RCSD because I usually focus on city council and the county ledge and legislation, but I need somebody to have eyes on the RCSD too, because we need to start getting involved in all of these things because if we don't, nobody else is gonna. And it's a serious issue. Okay, that's how we effectuate change, by standing up and redressing our grievances with our government while they're in office. It is not just about elections. It's not just about elections. However, if you are concerned about the way things are going or where you are and where you live right now, you need to get active with a good candidate in your area. Now, whether that means that you donate or whether that means that you volunteer time to either knock doors or make phone calls or whatever, that's what needs to be done to put good candidates in office. I've seen so many good candidates not get in office because they haven't had adequate support from people that are willing to get active. You know, you get a lot of lip service online, you get hundreds of comments or thumbs up on posts and stuff like this. And where are all of those people when you need them to volunteer or help and knock doors and stuff like that? They're nowhere to be found. So get involved, get active on a local level. Side note, shameless plug, donate to my campaign, Marcus, the number 4, Rochester.com. Even if you're not local, you can donate whatever you can. Because I'm up against these, we got 5 socialists on city council, okay? And we got to get somebody that's a voice of reason on there. That's why I'm running. That's why I'm fighting so hard. They're out here talking about this Mondani dude taking over New York City, and our city right here is suffering, okay, under socialist dictatorship right now, okay? The socialists are taking over every aspect of our government right here in the city of Rochester, okay? And they're not really socialists, okay? They're champagne socialists, right? People that don't have to deal with the reality of everyday life. So they just try to sell all of these people false dreams and false realities appearing real, you know? And what do they say? Fear is false evidence appearing real. That's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. That's why they push all of this nonsense. And it's very, very frustrating because we see what's going on. We see what's happening, and we understand that change needs to come and change needs to be put in place. But I implore you guys, it's us who have to be the change. If you want change, you have to be the change that you want to see. You know, I want to see change happen here in my city. That's why I'm standing up. That's why I'm fighting so hard. That's why I'm dealing with all the BS and the nonsense and the people giving me a hard time about standing up for righteousness. Because you matter to me, but it's very clear that you don't matter to all these other elected officials that we got running around here in New York State, in our city of Rochester. Also, this is a problem. And I'm not going to sit idly by and see it as a problem, say it is a problem, watch people not do anything about the problem, and me just sit on my hands. Like, oh, ho hum, somebody's going to come in off a white horse and come save us. Nobody's coming. Nobody is coming to save us. It's up to us to save us, you guys. So I encourage you, share this video, get this message out there so more people can actually start having the serious conversations. You're listening to The Divide on WRFZ 106.3 Rochester Free Radio. This is The Divide with Marcus C. Williams. We're on the air every Monday, 2:30 to 4 p.m. Make sure you tune in and share it with your friends, your family, your enemies, and everything. And if you drop a comment, I'll do my best to reply to the comment and pop it up on the screen. we didn't even get to cover everything that I wanted to today. I got a number of other issues I want to talk about. But the number one thing that I want to impress upon you, as always, before we get ready to get out of here, is make sure that you are having these serious, important conversations. Even when they tell you to keep quiet, even when they tell you to pipe down, even when they tell you, no, you shouldn't talk about that. You need to talk about it. You need to. Somebody does. If it's not up to us, then it's up to nobody. Okay? If it is to be, it's up to me. If it is to be, it's up to you. And we have to stand up and we have to fight through. Now, if we can, we need to be pushing. And again, as Christians, we need to be pushing to restore our nation to Christianity. That has been what has blessed us. That has been what has made us prosperous as a nation. And I pray that if you're listening and you're watching and you haven't learned about the teachings of Jesus Christ yet, please get a Bible, look into it, read the New Testament. Okay, I'm an Old Testament person myself. I love it. But I do love parts of the New Testament. My favorite is Thessalonians 1 and 2. But read the Bible. Okay, read the Bible. Okay, read it for yourself and then seek out people that are teachers or that are in the church so that you can fellowship with others. Jesus came, he came and willfully sacrificed himself so that we can have a connection to the Lord our Father and have the ability to obtain eternal everlasting life with our Father. Okay. And this is very important. And this is one of the basic tenets of our nation that we have gotten away from: Christianity. So if you guys are listening to us on the radio, we're going to cut the show here. You guys, if you're online, stay on for a moment. Please tell your friends, your family, your enemies, everybody, the guy down the street, tune in Mondays, 2:30 to 4 p.m. to The Divide on 106.3 WRFZ Rochester Free Radio. And if you are listening either online or on the radio, please donate. We're working to raise $25 to $50 an episode so that we can get more airtime and do more to get out the message. So you can donate on Cash App, that's $MW Real, the digit 1, that's $MW Real 1 on Cash App. Or we've got PayPal and Venmo, and that's at Marcus C. Williams. Again, that's PayPal and Venmo is at Marcus C. Williams. Please donate. Do whatever you can. $5, $10, whatever, $25, or even a full $50 to help support the show. And if you have a company and you want to advertise with the show, please let us know. We're looking for sponsors. We appreciate you all for tuning in. Thank you. And remember, stand up, speak up, and don't shut up. Take action. Be blessed and be well. All right, you guys. Here's the deal. As we march down this path together, okay, our country is going in a very positive direction. We've got a president who's doing everything that he can on the presidential level, on the executive level, to do what he can to put stuff in order for us to take benefit. We've got a Congress that's kind of, you guys know me. If you follow me, I'm not very fond of Congress. Okay. We've got, Thune is in the Senate, and we've got Mike Johnson in the House. They apparently are trying to have House sessions and Senate sessions every single day during the recess, so Trump can't get any recess appointments. You really need to start asking yourself, are these people really serving our country the way that they're supposed to, and the agenda of the people which pushed Trump into office the way that they need to? Because if they're willing to make it so there's no official recess, so Trump can't make recess appointments, we need to start asking what's really going on. And if you're a Democrat watching this, I want you to really ask what's going on. Are they really in league together? Because this shows you that they're both serving against what's going on. You understand what I'm saying? The Democrats and the Republicans. You mean the Republicans are actively working behind the scenes to stop Trump from getting recess appointments? Like, why would they do that? That would be a thing that the Democrats would do, right? So, but if the Democrats would do that, is it really good for us? But the Republicans are doing it, it can't be good, right? So these are the type of things that we really have to recognize and start having the conversations about. We have to. If we're not having these conversations, nobody's going to have them. Why would Thune do that? Why would Johnson do that? Why would they set Trump up so he can't get recess appointments? If anything, you would think that they would want him to do recess appointments. Who's on those recess appointments that you think that they might get in there, that they might serve Trump's means and not the means that the Senate wants or the House of Representatives wants? These are the questions that we need to start asking. Why would they do that at all? So I encourage you, ask the important questions, have the important conversations. And I need you guys to recognize that neither one of these parties have our best interest at heart, okay? The government does not have our best interest at heart. And I might be an ardent Republican and a very strong conservative, and I might stand on business for the Republican Party on principles and values, okay? But if anybody goes against those principles and values that have crafted and founded the Republican Party, I will stand against them. I don't care who they are. President, Congress, local, federal, it doesn't matter to me. Okay. When you ain't standing on business, you're not right. Okay. And there was an interesting thing that information that I just shared with you about Mike Johnson and Thune having those recess meetings instead of letting Trump do the recess appointments, that came from Thomas Massie. I love me some Thomas Massie. If y'all know, I love him because he stands on business, right? I like almost all of the things that he supports and pushes and where he stands on values and principles. Not everything, but most of it, because I know where he's coming from and he always stands on business, and I respect that. Another person similar to that is Rand Paul. He's also pretty good, you know, but we see people in Congress, and really it's both sides working together against the best interests of the people, because they go to all the same schools. They got all the same bankers. They go to vacations at all the same places. They're all in each other's weddings. You understand what I'm saying? Like, they're all in each other's weddings. Most of them are married into each other. Can we have that? They're all parts of the same secret societies and Greek groups. Can we have that conversation? See, this is what I think a lot of people don't understand, and it's where we get this issue with the Epstein files right now, where everybody's like, oh, we want them to release the Epstein files. And they're like, no, we're not going to release the Epstein files. And then the Democrats are like, oh, well, look at the Republicans. They don't want to release the Epstein files. Okay. So when Epstein did go to court, I want to say it was 2012 or whatever, he had a previous court issue. And Trump administration just tried to get the documents released from that court case, and a Democrat judge told them no. Well, why would you block that information? Why would you block that information? The Democrats are blocking that information. Why would you do that if you care so much about this whole Epstein stuff? Why? Because it might make you look bad. It might not shine good on you. Why would you do that? So, but this is what I'm saying. They're like, oh, well, it's Democrats, it's the Republicans, it's all of them. It's all of them. There are so few real good people fighting for us in Congress and even on local level and state level, because some of the good people, the decent people, are too scared to stand up and say anything or do anything. And that's a big problem. That's why I encourage you guys, have heart, have faith, and stand up and speak up, and don't shut up. I'll catch you guys later. Be blessed and be well. Share this video out, and I'll catch you soon. Please do donate to the show. Cash App, $MWReal1. And we've got Venmo and PayPal. You can donate on either one of those. It's at Marcus C. Williams. We even have Give, Send, Go, and you can donate on there. It's givesendgo.com/Marcus C. Williams. We're working on continuing to get the message out there. We're working on pushing an American revival. We're working on restoring our nation and encouraging more people to get active, because it doesn't matter what party you are. It matters that we stand on constitutional business, that we stand on values, and that we stand on principles. That's what I got for you today. I'll catch you guys later. You be blessed, be well, stand up, speak up, and don't shut up. Catch you later.